I played it safe, saving a little, working hard, following the so-called rules. But nothing really changed until I realized that playing it safe was actually keeping me trapped. In today's video, we're breaking down exactly why staying comfortable keeps you from building real wealth, and I'll share practical hacks you can use to rise above the middle class and actually start getting ahead. Most people don't even realize that the comfort zone they hold on to so tightly is the very thing keeping them stuck in the middle class. The problem is simple safety feels good, but it keeps you exactly where you are if you're constantly afraid of stepping outside of predictable routines. Working the same 9 to 5, keeping your savings in a low-interest account, saying yes to stability instead of opportunity. You'll never create the kind of breakthroughs that lead to wealth. Playing it safe is rewarded with just enough to survive, but never enough to thrive. Think about it, society actually conditions you to believe this is the correct path. Go to school, get a degree, find a stable job, pay your bills, and slowly work your way toward retirement. But if you look closely, you'll notice that following this formula is exactly how millions of people end up working for decades, only to find themselves financially stretched, unable to retire comfortably, and always chasing security rather than creating freedom. The comfort zone is the biggest illusion of safety because it hides the real risk that decades of your life will pass without any significant change in your financial situation. The solution is to start practicing calculated discomfort. This doesn't mean throwing everything away recklessly. It means deliberately taking small but meaningful risks that move you forward. For example, instead of parking all your money in a savings account that barely beats inflation, you push yourself to learn about index funds, real estate, or even a small side business that can generate cash flow. Instead of staying silent in meetings at work because you don't want to stand out, you begin volunteering for challenging projects that might feel uncomfortable, but position you for growth, promotions, or leadership opportunities. Every single time you put yourself into a slightly uncomfortable situation, you expand your skills, your resilience, and your potential for higher income. The idea is to start making your comfort zone bigger by pushing at the edges. The truth is, wealth is built not by doing what feels easy, but by doing what feels necessary, even when it's uncomfortable. That shift in mindset, choosing discomfort with intention, gradually separates you from those who are satisfied with staying safe. Take the example of someone working a steady corporate job making $50,000 a year. They follow the rules, they save a little, but their financial progress is slow and unremarkable. Now imagine that same person deciding to take a calculated risk by investing in a rental property. At first, it feels terrifying: debt, tenants, responsibility. But with research and careful planning, the risk pays off. Suddenly, they've added another stream of income that grows with time. Or look at someone who starts a YouTube channel, a blog, or a side hustle after work instead of binge watching Netflix. It's uncomfortable at first to put themselves out there, but a year later, they're making an extra $100,000 a month on top of their job. Those are the exact kinds of risks that move you out of the middle class and into wealth-building territory. It's not about risking everything, it's about being strategic with discomfort. You don't grow by doing what everyone else does. You grow by stepping into what most people avoid. The biggest challenge with wealth building is that most people avoid risk altogether because they've been taught that risk equals danger. The problem here is that by constantly avoiding anything that feels risky, you're also avoiding the opportunities that could dramatically change your financial situation. Sticking only with what you know feels safe, but it also guarantees limited outcomes. If you only rely on a single paycheck, never invest outside of a savings account, and keep saying no to business or investment opportunities because they seem uncertain, you're effectively capping your potential. The truth is, the middle class isn't trapped because they lack intelligence or work ethic. They're trapped because they never learn how to embrace risks that are calculated, researched, and planned. Fear of failure or losing money becomes stronger than the possibility of building wealth, so people choose to stay stagnant. This mindset keeps them exactly where they are, while others, who take smart risks, move ahead. The solution lies in shifting your perspective on risk and learning to separate reckless gambles from calculated decisions. Calculated risks are not about being impulsive or reckless. They're about weighing the potential downsides, preparing for them, and then taking action despite the fear. For example, instead of blindly investing in a stock because a friend recommended it, you research the company, analyze its long-term potential, and decide how much of your portfolio you can afford to risk. That's calculated. Instead of quitting your job with no plan, you start building a side hustle during evenings and weekends until it grows enough to sustain you. That's calculated. It's not about avoiding risk altogether. It's about becoming comfortable with uncertainty, because uncertainty is where growth exists. The middle class clings to certainty, but the wealthy master the art of managing uncertainty. Once you begin to understand that calculated risks are the very engine that drives wealth, your mindset begins to shift from one of protection to one of opportunity. Take, for example, an individual who's been working the same job for years and saving diligently, but inflation keeps eroding their money. They realize that at this pace, they'll never get ahead. Instead of keeping all their savings in a traditional account, they decide to invest in index funds. At first, the thought of their money fluctuating daily feels terrifying, but with consistent contributions in time, they watch their investments grow far faster than any savings account could ever provide. Or imagine someone who's always dreamed of starting a small online store but has been afraid of losing a few $1,000s. Eventually, they take the leap, starting small with low overhead, testing products and learning marketing along the way. Even if their first attempt doesn't blow up, the skills they gain position them to succeed on future ventures. Each step involves risk, but each step also multiplies potential rewards in a way that simply playing it safe never could. The difference between staying in the middle class and moving beyond it often comes down to the willingness to embrace calculated risks that most people are too scared to take. One of the most common traps people fall into when it comes to money is waiting for the perfect time to start investing. The problem is that this perfect time never actually arrives. There will always be bills, unexpected expenses, market uncertainty, or fears of losing money that make it easy to push off investing for another month, another year, or even another decade. This mindset is what keeps millions of people in the middle class their entire lives. They work hard, they save a little, but their money never grows because it's sitting in a savings account barely keeping up with inflation. The real danger of waiting is opportunity cost. Every year that passes without investing is a year where your money could have been compounding. Compounding is the magic ingredient that separates the wealthy from everyone else, but it only works if you give it time. The earlier you start, the more years your money has to multiply. By delaying, you rob yourself of that head start and make it nearly impossible to catch up later. The solution is to stop waiting for the perfect moment and start investing now, even if it's a small amount. You don't need to be an expert, and you don't need thousands of dollars to begin. With the rise of fractional investing in platforms that allow you to buy into index funds, ETFs, or real estate with minimal capital, there's no excuse to sit on the sidelines. The key is consistency, committing to regular contributions month after month and letting time do the heavy lifting. Investing early doesn't mean you won't face market ups and downs. It means you understand that short-term volatility is irrelevant compared to the long-term growth you'll experience. The people who build wealth aren't the ones who time the market perfectly. They're the ones who spend the most time in the market. When you accept that, you free yourself from the paralysis of waiting and you step into the mindset of action. Take the example of two friends. Alex starts investing $200 a month at age 22. Jordan waits until 32 to start, telling himself he'll invest when he has extra money. Both invest the same $200 per month until they reach 60. By the time they retire, Alex has invested 91's $200 while Jordan has invested 67 $200. But because Alex started earlier, his portfolio grows to over $700 and assuming a modest average return, while Jordan ends up with less than half of that. The difference isn't the amount they invested. It's the time they gave their money to compound. Or think about someone who hesitates to invest because they fear a market crash. If they start small and dollar cost average through the ups and downs, they eventually realize that the crashes are temporary, but the long-term upward trend is permanent. By taking action now, they benefit from decades of growth that the waiters miss out on. This is the real hack to rising beyond the middle class, recognizing that time is your most valuable resource. And the only way to harness it is to stop waiting and start investing today. One of the biggest problems that keeps people stuck in the middle class is relying on just one source of income, usually their job. On the surface, having a steady paycheck feels safe and predictable, but it also comes with a hidden ceiling. If your only source of income is your salary, your financial growth is completely dependent on whether your employer gives you a raise or promotion. Even if you work harder, put in longer hours, or go above and beyond, you're still ultimately trading time for money, and there are only so many hours in a day. The risk is even greater when you consider how fragile that single paycheck really is. Companies downsize, industries change, and unexpected events like layoffs or health issues can wipe out your only income stream overnight. This dependence creates constant financial stress because you're always just one emergency away from falling behind, and it prevents you from building the kind of wealth and security that comes with multiple sources of income. The solution is to start creating additional streams of income even while you're still working your main job. This doesn't mean you need to quit your career or build $1 million business overnight, but it does mean finding ways to diversify where your money comes from. Side hustles, freelancing, real estate, dividend-paying stocks, digital products, and even small online businesses can all provide supplementary income that adds stability and growth to your financial life. The key is to choose something that aligns with your skills, interests, and available time so that it's sustainable. By doing this, you free yourself from being completely dependent on your employer and begin to build financial leverage. Each new stream of income not only provides extra cash flow, but also reduces the pressure on your main job and gives you options. Instead of being trapped in the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck, you start creating multiple channels that feed into your long-term wealth. Consider the example of someone making $60,000 a year from their job. They decide to start a side hustle tutoring students online, earning an extra $500 a month. At first, it doesn't seem like much, but over a year that adds up to $6,000. They use that extra income to invest in index funds, which begin to compound over time. Later, they take on freelance projects in their field, adding another $300 a month. Eventually, they buy a small rental property that generates $200 in net profit monthly. Now, instead of relying only on their salary, they've built multiple streams of income that collectively add thousands to their annual earnings. Another example is someone who creates digital products like an online course or e-book that sells passively. Even if it only brings in a few $100s per month, it's money that doesn't require trading more hours for work. Over time, these small streams can grow and multiply, creating a safety net that not only helps them rise beyond the middle class, but also gives them freedom and control over their financial future. Another major reason people remain stuck in the middle class is because they underestimate the value of their own skills and knowledge. The problem is that most people stop learning once they finish school or once they feel comfortable in their jobs. They rely on the same set of abilities for years, never upgrading or expanding them, and as a result, they limit their earning potential. Employers reward specialized, in-demand skills, not just time served. In the same way, the marketplace rewards innovation, expertise, and problem-solving, not simply hard work. If your skills stay stagnant, your income stays stagnant, and no amount of working overtime can change that. Think about how quickly industries evolve with technology. Jobs that were stable 10 years ago may not even exist today, and new opportunities are constantly emerging. Without actively upgrading your knowledge, you run the risk of becoming replaceable, underpaid, and overlooked while others who invested in themselves move ahead. The solution is to treat personal development as your most profitable investment. This means dedicating time and resources to consistently learning new skills, improving existing ones, and positioning yourself as someone who can solve more valuable problems. In today's world, knowledge is accessible like never before. Online courses, certifications, podcasts, books, mentorship programs, and even free content on platforms like YouTube can give you a competitive edge if you take action. By deliberately sharpening your abilities, you not only increase your value in the job market, but also open doors to entrepreneurial opportunities that wouldn't be possible otherwise. The wealthy understand that self-education doesn't stop after school. It's a lifelong process that compounds over time. The skills you build today could be the very thing that generates income streams, business ventures, or promotions tomorrow. The mindset shift is realizing that every hour you spend learning something useful is not wasted time. It's an investment that pays dividends for the rest of your life. Take the example of someone working an entry-level job in customer service. If they never push themselves to learn more, they'll likely stay at the same pay grade with minimal increases year after year. But imagine they decide to learn digital marketing through online courses in their free time. Within a year, they've built a portfolio of projects and begin freelancing on the side, earning an extra $4,000 a month. Eventually, that skill allows them to move into a higher paying career in marketing or even start their own small agency. Another example is an employee in a traditional finance role who takes the time to learn coding and data analysis. Instead of being stuck in repetitive tasks, they position themselves as someone who can automate systems, analyze complex data, and drive innovation within their company. As a result, they're offered promotions and opportunities that others miss. These outcomes don't happen by chance. They happen because the person chose to see themselves as an asset worth investing in. By leveraging skills and knowledge, you expand your opportunities, increase your income, and create a pathway that goes far beyond the limits of the middle class. One of the biggest financial mistakes people make is focusing only on short-term comfort while ignoring the long-term consequences. The problem is that the middle class is conditioned to prioritize immediate gratification, things like upgrading to a nicer car, eating out frequently, or buying the newest gadgets, over long-term wealth building. This short-sighted mindset leads to living paycheck to paycheck because every dollar earned is already allocated to today's expenses instead of tomorrow's investments. Even when people do think about the future, they often underestimate how much money they'll actually need to retire or how inflation will erode their savings over time. The result is decades of working hard without ever achieving true financial freedom. By the time they realize the importance of long-term planning, years of potential growth are already lost, and catching up becomes nearly impossible. This short-term focus is exactly why so many people remain trapped in the middle class despite earning decent incomes. The solution is to adopt a long-term mindset and begin taking action now, even if it feels small. Thinking long-term means prioritizing investments, retirement accounts, and assets that grow over time rather than focusing only on what feels good today. It's about shifting from a consumer mindset to a builder mindset. Every financial decision should be weighed against not just what it gives you now, but what it costs you in the future. For example, instead of buying a brand new car on credit, you could purchase a reliable used car and invest the difference. Instead of spending every bonus or raise on lifestyle upgrades, you funnel it into index funds, rental properties, or a side business that creates long-term value. The wealthy understand that the decisions they make today will shape their financial reality 10 or 20 years from now, and they act accordingly. The key is consistency, making small, disciplined choices over and over that compound into massive results. The earlier you begin, the less drastic your sacrifices need to be because time multiplies the effect of your actions. Take the example of someone who earns 55 ZAs in a year and chooses to invest just 400 a month starting at age 25. At first, it doesn't seem like much, but over the course of 35 years with an average return, that account grows into well over $1 million by retirement. Now compare that to someone who waits until age 35 to start investing the same 400 a month. They still build some wealth, but they end up with less than half of what the early starter has, all because they delayed action for a decade. Another example is someone who avoids lifestyle creep when they get a raise. Instead of increasing their rent or buying luxury items, they maintain their same standard of living and use the extra income to buy dividend-paying stocks. Within a few years, those dividends generate enough passive income to cover their car payment or grocery bill. It doesn't happen overnight, but these small, consistent decisions to prioritize the future over short-term gratification create a snowball effect. Each choice compounds, leading to financial independence, while others are still stuck chasing paychecks. The lesson is clear wealth doesn't come from waiting until later. It comes from thinking long-term and acting now. The middle-class trap starts with staying in your comfort zone, where safety feels good but keeps you stuck. The real progress comes when you take calculated risks that push you toward bigger opportunities. Waiting for the perfect time to invest only costs you years of growth, while starting early, even with small amounts, lets compounding do the heavy lifting. Relying on just one paycheck keeps you capped, but building multiple streams of income gives you leverage and security. The real accelerator is investing in yourself, upgrading your skills and knowledge so you're worth more in the marketplace. And above all, wealth comes from thinking long-term and acting today, not waiting until tomorrow. Each of these hacks works together to move you beyond the middle class and toward true financial freedom. If you found this valuable, make sure to subscribe, drop a like, and leave a comment sharing which hack you're starting with today. And in the next video, we're diving into money myths that keep you poor and how to break them fast.